It's the War Hipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and today we are painting the Jaws of Itzl. Yes, here they are. The new Seraphon Underworlds Warband that Games Workshop have very kindly sent me early to build up and paint with all of you, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing today. So a massive thank you to them for doing that. And before we jump in, there's a little bit of admin to do. So we actually have a couple of different things going on here, and this is one of those ones where we kind of can't avoid doing it kind of piece by piece. However, we're not going to have to do all four individually. So what we are going to be doing is we're going to be painting Sokar and Rotak the Guardian first, then we'll do Krojax the Aegis, and then finally we will do Sotex Venomites right there. So these two first, then this guy, then this guy. And well, we're going to get all of the skin done on these, and then generally kind of like the golden stuff will take over at the same time, which is quite useful. So really it's kind of a case of doing the scales and skin here, then the scales and skin there, then the gold and all that kind of thing after that. So with all that in mind, we're going to pop these to one side, and then we're going to jump in and get started. But before we do that, they have all been primed in Wraithbone. So we shall be right back in just a moment. Okay, so the place we're going to start is, as mentioned, on our two kind of bluey greeny ones, and the colour we're going to be using first is a roughly 2 parts Lahmian medium to 1 part Kroxigor Scales mix. And basically we're just going to apply this over top of the entirety of the model. So that Kroxigor Scales all applied. What we're then going to do is we're going to take a roughly 2 parts Lahmian medium to 1 part Akhelian Green mix, and we're going to now apply this over top of the arms, legs, back and head. However, we are going to use this now to do a little bit of blending. So we're just going to get this all over like this sort of thing. And we're just going to avoid the tail, well, the soft under bit of the tail. And again, we're getting this all over. Just like that sort of thing. There we go. And we've got the back part of the tail to do as well. Like that. And we have got it on the underside, so we are just going to colour it in up to that point. However, this part here we're just going to leave for the moment. We're then going to apply this over top of the arm. Like that. Go over the top of the scale. And come over the back. Like so. Do the other half as well. There we go. Got that little bit of the scale just here. And we've got that part of the arm as well. Got the hand to do. Like that. And like that. Now we'll do the head in just a sec, but what we're going to do here on the torso is we're essentially going to kind of apply this coming up here and in the corners. So we're going to apply this like so, either side. Then we're going to wash the brush, get rid of the water, and then just over the top we basically want to just remove it. Same here on the corner, like that. Wash the brush, get rid of the water, then remove it, and then once more on that shoulder, wash the brush, get rid of the water, then remove it. Finally, we've got the head to do, and what we want to do here basically is we want to just kind of get the top of the head but leave the chin. So I'm going to apply this over the top of the head like so, bring it over the snout, and do this on both sides like that. Make sure you get the back of the head like that. And then we've got some thick scales here, so we're going to bring it down like so. Then we're going to wash the brush, get rid of the water, and then just blend it. And we're going to do the same thing up the nose, like that. Then we've got the back part of that side of the head as well. Wash the brush, touch off the water, and then give it that blend like so. So with that all done, we're then going to take a 1-to-1 mix of Lahmian Medium and Akhelian Green, and we're going to focus our attention really here on the scales. Scattered around the model. When you come up to things like that on there, you can just give it the blends around that large dark scales. And the same thing goes for areas like the head. And so with that then done, we're then going to take a roughly 2 parts Lamia medium to 1 part Stormfiend mix. And what we're going to do here is we're basically going to apply this very targetedly over some of the largest scales. Like that sort of thing. We're just looking to kind of break up the almost uniformity. So with that all done, you should have a Saurus warrior, basically, that looks somewhat like this. It's looking pretty cool. But what we're going to do now is we're going to add a couple of little highlights to it, just because, well, it makes sense to do that so that we can do the rest of the details later on. Now the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take some Lothern Blue, and this isn't a highlight, this is more of a relayer, and we're going to thin it down with sort of 4 or 5 parts sort of water. So, and what we're going to do is on the tummy area is we're going to apply this just like so, avoiding all our recesses. We can do this on the arms as well. Just to give it a very subtle little glaze that will retain our blending, but also just kind of make it feel a little bit brighter and softer. Sticking with Lothern Blue, instead of glazing though this time, what we're going to do is we're going to apply a really gentle dry brush of this over the top of the entirety of the model. And with that Lothern Blue dry brush applied, we're then going to apply a really, really gentle one over the top, once again, with some Baharroth Blue. So with that all done, we can actually put these two to one side now, because we're going to pick up Kroxigor, the Aegis, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get the skin up to that same kind of level, and then we'll be working on all three at the same time. So the colour we're going to be using first for Kroxigor is a roughly 3 parts Targor Rageshade to 1 part Lahmian medium mix. And we're just going to apply this over the top of the entirety of Kroxigor. So with that all done, we're then going to do something a little bit tricky, but kind of fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 3 parts contrast medium to 1 part Shyish Purple to 1 part Cygor Brown. It's a bit of a complicated mix, I know. However, what we're going to do here is we're going to use this to basically pick out individual scales, and we don't want a lot of this on our brush, so we're just going to take most of it off, and we're going to come in here on the shoulder, for example, and just start applying this. Just like that sort of thing. And you'll see scattered all over the model. If you check out the box art, this kind of browny purple finish to it. That's basically what we're going for here. And so using that same mix before, what we're going to do is we're going to load up the brush this time, and across these kind of largest spikes here on the head, so what we're going to do is we're basically going to apply it quite thickly. Like so. Wash the brush, get rid of the water, and then we're going to blend it. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to dry brush the entirety of Krojax with some Pallid Witch Flesh. We want to just be quite gentle here and build this up very, very, very steadily. Especially when it comes to our darker scales. And with that Pallid Witch Flesh dry brush applied, we're then going to take some Druchii Violet and we're going to thin it down with 4 parts water. And we're just going to apply this over the top of the entirety of the miniature. So with that all done, all 3 of our Seraphon are now at the same level that we wanted them to be. So we can be a little bit more consistent now with our coats. And, well, the next one of these is going to be some Black Legion. And we're going to be applying this over top of all of their claws and toenails and things like that. Now, of course, there are some differences here and there. Which we will pick out, but now we can be just a little bit more consistent. With that Black Legion all applied, we're then going to take some Volupus Pink. And we're going to apply this over top of the teeth and open mouths and tongues. Like so. We're going to apply it over the top of all of their eyes. And in Krojax's case, what we're also going to do with the Volupus Pink is we're going to use this to pick out his scars, of which there's this one here over the eye, and there is a couple on his arm as well. I know I said we'd be more consistent now, but just on our two Saurus, our blue ones, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Flesh Tearers Red, and we're going to apply this over top of all of the leather details. And on Krojax, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Cygor Brown. I'm going to use this to pick out the leather on him. So with that all done, we're now going to work on this sort of greenish black. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Terradon Turquoise first, and we're going to apply this over the top of the entirety of this bit of jewellery. Just here. Like that. We're also going to apply this over the top of these little bits on the shield. Like so. And we'll do both sides. And on this guy, we're going to apply the Terradon Turquoise over the top of the spear blade. Like so. And pop this one to one side, and on this individual we do also have the little kind of spikes around the outside of the shield, but we have these square blocks. The necklace to do in addition. Just like that sort of thing. And we will do the other two, but what we're also going to do is on this individual is we're going to apply this over the top of the kind of meteorite type thing up here. like so. There's the little spikes back here as well, just like on those shields. Like that. And we also have the spikes there on the shield, but we also have the shield facing. Like that. And we have the bottom row of the shield triangles. So with all that Terradon Turquoise applied, just whilst we're waiting for it to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Basilicanum Grey and Larmium Medium. And we're going to apply this over top of the other two shield facings that we haven't already done. Like that. And we're also going to apply this over the top of this weapon. And with that done, we're then going to take some Gore-Grunta Fur and we're going to apply this over the top of the spear haft. So with that then done, it's now time to take some Black Templar and we're going to apply this over the top of our Terradon Turquoise bits. Now on this necklace, we're applying this over the top of the top rung of triangles. Like that. However, over the top of the rest of it, we'll be applying the Black Templar as normal. And so with that done, we've now just very quickly applied a little bit of red over the top of those other triangles. I forgot to mention that. It's Flesh Tearer's red. But what we're going to do now is we're going to apply our final base coat, which is going to be some thinned down Retributor Armour. And we're going to apply this over top of all of our remaining details. So with all of that Retributor Armour applied, we're then going to take some Guilliman Flesh and we're going to use this to shade all of that gold. So with that all done, these guys are now what I would call a War Hipster battle ready. But we're not going to leave them there. No, we're going to take them to the next level. We're going to do this by adding some layers and some highlights. Now, the first of these is going to be a layer. And it is going to be some thinned down Dawnstone. And we're going to be using this to effectively relayer the shield facings and this guy's weapon. And this is just to kind of smooth out Basilicanum Grey, which is just one of those paints which doesn't always play by the rules. It's a good way to kind of cover over any mistakes that you might have made when you did the gold. But there you go. We've got the weapon as well. So with that Dawnstone applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Administratum Grey. And we're going to use this to highlight those grey details. Like that sort of thing. However, what we're also going to do with the Dawnstone, not Dawnstone, this is Administratum Grey, is we're going to use this to highlight the claws that we did with Black Legion. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is going to take some thinned down Kabalite Green, and we're going to use this to highlight all of our Terradon Turquoise and Black Templar areas. So with all of that Kabalite Green applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Sybarite Green, and we're going to use this to add a little spot highlight to all of that black. So with all of that Sybarite Green applied, we're then going to take a teeny tiny little dot of Evil Sun Scarlet. I'm going to apply this over top of the eyeball. I should clarify that by saying eyeballs, because there's 3 of them. Well, 3 models. With that Evil Sun Scarlet applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Flayed One Flesh. And we're going to use this to pick out the scars. With that Flayed One Flesh applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Fulgrim Pink. And we're going to use this to highlight the tongues and the parts of the mouths that you can see. And so with that then done, we're going to take some thinned down Screaming Skull. I'm going to use this to pick out the teeth. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Retributor Armour. I'm going to use this to relayer all of our wide open areas of gold. We don't need to do any of the kind of really small areas. That will be picked up in the highlight in just a minute. For now, we're looking at things like the weapon, bits of armour here and there, and naturally these large bits of gold on the shield. And so with that Retributor Armour all applied, we're then going to take a roughly 2 parts Stormhost SIlver to 1 part Retributor Armour mix. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the gold. So with that all done, we're very, very nearly finished on these 3. We've just got one last thing left to do, which is to take some Flesh Tearers Red, and we're going to use this over the top of a couple of gem-like areas. So we've got one just here on the shield. Like that. And one on the necklace. Just there. And then on this club, got that one there. And that one there. Like so. And then similarly, on our other blue, we have the gem right here. So with that all done, these 3 are now finished except for the bases, and we do need to do the Venomites, or Sotex Venomites here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the basing and Venomites at the same time, because well, there's the large kind of statue type thing just there, which is, well, it's basically part of the basing. So rather than kind of having to do a bunch of corrections and all this kind of thing, what we are going to do instead is we are going to take some thinned down Morghast Bone, and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the stone across all 4 of our bases. With all that Morghast Bone applied, we're then going to shade it using some Reikland Fleshshade. So with that all done, we're then going to take some Militarum Green and we're going to apply this over top of the plants. Next up, we're going to take some Cygor Brown and we're going to apply this over top of any wood and vines. Next up, we're going to take some Black Legion and we're going to apply this over the top of this little frog up here, and we're also going to apply it over the top of the back of the large snake. Up here, the kind of cobra-esque one. So we've got the head of it. Like that. Then we just want to do the back. With that then done, we're going to use some Flesh Tearers Red. We're going to use this to pick out our little snakes. Next up, we're going to take some Gryph-Hound Orange and we're going to apply this over the top of our last remaining snake. Next up, we're going to take some Skeleton Horde and we're going to apply this over top of the belly of our black snake. And then next up, we're going to take some Terradon Turquoise. I'm going to apply this over top of our two remaining lizards. So with that all done, we're now going to add a shade, just the one, and it's going to be some Nuln Oil. I'm going to apply this over top of our two Terradon Turquoise lizards, and we're also going to apply this over top of the black. And so with that all done, we're then going to take a tiny little dot of Fleshshade Yellow. I'm going to use this to just pick out the eyes of all of our reptiles. So with that all done, we're now going to finish things off by taking our traditional dry brush of Tyrant's Skull. I'm going to apply this over top of the entirety of this model, but also over the top of the bases of our other three. So with those bases now complete, the Jaws of Itzl are now finished. I really enjoyed this. It was nice to paint some Seraphon after quite a long time away from them. The last one we did was Kroak, which was a little while ago now, but it was quite fun to flex the muscles. Slightly different recipe for the blue Saurus there. I think it's just as effective as the one we've done previously. I think it looks pretty cool. Really pleased with these in the end. Great stuff. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.